Great! The time it takes to drive a truck from where we paid for the journey to the port.
And to load us onto the ship.
But where is the ship? I said, where is the ship?
Listen, you can hear gulls cawing. They're overhead. They're looking for scraps in the sea.
They're always feeding on scraps.
So where is the boat?
I needed to know where I am.
He needs to know where he is.
Yes. Once I know, I will be all right.
Once he knows, he'll be all right. He has his routine.
In the Middle Sea. Are we on the boat still? The one we left in?
Or have we arrived?
It was never going to take us anywhere. It was just to get us there.
Where is the light?
I am sick of accepting that we have to be in the dark always.
Accepting what?
To be in the dark.
To be in the dark. Why?
Because there is nothing else to see. That is why. Oh, all righty then.
Oh, does
Here
that
is
help?
the light.
Oh, does that help?
It doesn't look any better.
Yeah.
All that went before is in your mind. And all that you dream of is in your mind.
Dream or fiction is not reality, you know.
Well, when you give birth to someone, you start to dream for the things that you may never have, but you want them to have. Is that fiction too?
Even now it's in your mind until you get there.
And then everything will flare up like a match. Everything will be vivid. The smell, the noise.
I do that. Just did it.
That's what I do whenever I go somewhere new. I know how things look.
Yes. I even know how they feel. They act. And how they sound.
Too dark! We are in the dark still! We can't even see the outside world. We can't see beyond these walls.
I know we can't see, but they are looking after us.
Looking after us? Looking after us? What makes you think that the people we pay to get us here even know where we're going to? Looking after us.
All right.
Just stop it. I want to talk about ordinary things. I like going to the shop, make a phone call, have a shower, watch the television.
It's like, what is a shop? And why do we go there? Why have a phone? Who would we phone in the first place?
We can't live life just asking questions all the time. Can't we just accept that some things are just there and then we get on with it?
I think you're right. Shall we tell stories?
Oh, yes. I like stories.
Stories of what?
Well, stories of who we are, of where we've come from. I was in my house, I was in my room packing when I had to leave suddenly in nothing but the clothes that I'm wearing now.
Oh, man.
All of my possessions are gone.
Oh,
Everything's gone. And everyone's gone.
oh, that is too sad, my brother.
I was blindfolded in a tiled room. I could hear the sound of it, feel the cold, smooth walls. It is easy to clean up the mess in the tiled room.
Mess. Clean up.
What type of mess?
We used to live in a grand boulevard with fine houses. And then the houses were just rubble. Fine cars, jacked up on bricks and their tyres gone. Streets of parked cars, burned out and on bricks like stilettos.
I had a mirror in my room. I used it to adjust my ties every day. It was smashed. I never looked in the mirror again. I don't need ties anymore.
Yes, I understand. We had fine furniture with luxury veneers that we used as firewood to keep us warm. We don't need fine furniture with luxury veneers as firewood. We've got our memories of fine living to keep us warm.
No, I don't want to keep my memories alive. I don't want to talk of rooms. I don't want to be that person anymore. I just want to move on and start again.
You will remain the same. However far you fling yourself, your past will be part of you somewhere.
Are you okay, sweetheart?
No, I'm so hungry. I'm tired. I'm thirsty.
I know.
What should we do?
Hey! Do you need the water? It is all around us, you know. But you can't ever do.
Just touch you now.
Yeah.
I like it on this planet.
Ah, so now, that will be about 3 million of these rafts. If everyone had to leave.
Well, I didn't have to leave. I wanted a job, a place to live, with
Opinion that the government don't like.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I have an opinion that someone else does not like, which will cause problems for myself.
What's that got to do with my problems? Words don't solve my problems.
That's if they leave before the memories and go to a place where possessions matter and give you status.
Give you status. Look at us. Just look at us. What status do we have here? We stink of sea salt. We will always smell of sea salt.
And the dust of where we came from. It clings, you know.
What you were matters not.
They'll assign you a category. Refugee or asylum seeker.
People look down on us. Economic migrant, displaced person.
Undocumented illegal alien.
A criminal suspect or a terrorist.
And then, if you survive, the filling of forms. A job in some place, in a bar. Picking fruit in a field. A victim of modern day slavery. You see, because of your uncertain status, should he continue to run? Settle down? Make a living? Will she ever be allowed?
Today, we belong nowhere and everywhere all at once. Maybe we will leave, but we'll never arrive.
Do you know the Greek xenos? The root of xenophobia means both.
Always in the middle sea.
Always
Smelling of
in the
brine
middle
and
sea.
then the dust of
Always
journeys.
Smelling of brine.
Never the sense of settling. Always the next place to go to. Always in the middle sea.
Smelling of brine.
Always in the middle sea.
Never
Always in the middle sea. Always in the middle sea.
in the middle.
Always.
Are we on a boat still? Are we on a boat still? Never the scent of settling. Never the scent of settling. Always in the middle seas. Smelling of brine, and then the dust of journeys. Always the next place to go to. Always in the middle sea.
Are we on a boat still? 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 Always in the middle sea.
My name's Rob Bell, and I'm from the History Troupe, and we're really, really pleased that Martha and Sayeda approached us simply, firstly, to see if they could work with the script that we had developed a couple of years ago now, very much for this week. And the story of the play, its idea was this: that I went down and met Sayeda at the place down Open Doors, that's it. And went down to Open Doors to meet with people, and I met, 10, 15 people from all over the place, all with what can only be described as quite harrowing tales. And it was just impossible to write anything that reflected the complexity of everybody's story. It was just impossible. So in a way, that becomes an amalgam where there are no names, there are no places mentioned. But it comes then to these players. They came to us as Platform One. Now, for any of us in Hull, that's a very important title for any theatre group, because Platform One is where, in that period, 1880 to 1914, millions of people passed through Hull in search of freedom and opportunity. And it's, I think, something that should be said now with great force, that this is a port city. We're very used, and should be very used, to people passing through. We should also be very used to people settling, and us as a port city making them very welcome. So on behalf of Hull, those of Platform One who've made these kind of journeys, and some of them have, I think is part of the reason why this was put together. And Sayeda and Martha worked with a lot of actors, not just the ones that are here. For all sorts of complex reasons, people don't turn up on stage or can't appear, and I think we all understand those reasons. So I think it's an amazing accomplishment of Sayeda and Martha to put this on, and for others within the group and the wider group that you worked with in workshops. So I think everybody should really give a hearty round of applause for your courage in doing all of this. I think really any of us in this week of all weeks, National Refugee Week, reflects on this. The hardening of hearts in the world these days is palpable, and very important that we reflect on the, is it 50 million people who are displaced at the moment, and those people are looking for a place to settle. So what we're going to do now is just a few questions, and then I've got a few poems that I've written which build on what we've just said, and some of them are, as I'll explain, from conversations with Terry Waite. But before we do that, can I just lead with a question to Sayeda, which is really this. When you started to work on this, what did you feel was the journey that this represented to you in your situation, and the ones that others at Open Doors have told you?
Hello everyone, I'm Sayeda.
not in character. But yeah, when we started, as Rob Bell just told you guys that when he wrote that play, out of all the stories which he actually heard from Open Doors clients, Open Doors is actually working with asylum seekers, refugees, and people, destitute people basically. So all these stories were like so touchy, and everyone feels that their story is like more important than, you know, nothing happened with other person, but whatever happened with them is something which was like end of the world. And then when it came under you know, like word category and like a script, and I just saw that and I read that, and it was really touchy to me, and I just say yes, I really want to do that thing, you know. This needs to be illustrated in public to show that, because these things we cannot tell people like, excuse me, this is happening, or this is my story, or this is her story. But theatre is very powerful platform to actually elaborate all these things which needs to be said, but you know, we're not just hiding sometime under the carpet, or with due some political reasons and some other reasons. It's not highlighted, but because it's related with human being, they are important regardless of their nature, regardless of any agenda behind it. But all it is all about is about human being, what I just, you know, believe basically. And this is just a small effort from me and Martha. We tried to do something, and our cast tirelessly, they work voluntarily. They just say yes, we want to do that, because in the beginning it was a challenge for us, who to cast, who to, you know, it was quite a big challenge. Without them, I think it's not be possible, and I really want them to reflect on that.
Let me just turn to Sergius. You've spoken a lot about journeys of a lot of the people that you met since you've arrived in Hull. What's your view of that place, which doesn't, you use a phrase in the script, you're journeying but you never arrive.
Hi everyone, I'm Sergius, one of the members of the cast. In the play, I am a 15-year-old boy who is naive and who doesn't care about anything, who has links abroad. We're all coming from Africa. We've been trafficked in the trucks and then onto the ship. We are in the container, within the container, in the ship, and we are going abroad. Nobody knows where. We've paid people, as our
David.
Next member has, and then we are headed somewhere. But I have hope, because I have somebody who is my uncle. That is how I dress the character, personally mine. That I have an uncle, and I don't care about anything. I don't care about anyone. I don't even care why do we have someone who will, you know, take care of us, which will cause problems to us as well. You know, things like those, which means that I know that I'm going somewhere as the character in the play. I would like to thank you, Rob, that you've written it very well. And
No. Let's go on to the other.
Yeah?
Let's go on to the others. Thanks a lot.
Thank
One
you.
of the other things that happens in these things is that you have a lot of middle class people who are also displaced. So far be it from me to label you as middle class, a few of you over here, but there's an element where what we were trying to do was explore another dimension, which is that I think that was our collective view, that when everybody can be displaced, How would you reflect on that?
During the rehearsal, one thing that stands out to me and really brought it home to me, what a good cast we've got here, is the fact that we all did a one-to-one as to who our character was. And we teamed up, we got families together. But the thing that really surprised me was that they were given 5 minutes to come back with a story about where they come from. why they're in this situation, what they left behind. And every one of them were fantastic. She did it in a cafe, in the coffee bar, because she didn't know she was away on holiday. And we gave her 5 minutes and she just did it in the cafe. And we got all the cafe listening to her. And I thought they were going to, be in tears. But it was fantastic. It's been really good.
Can I ask you? You learned a new phrase tonight, didn't you? Break a leg. We had to explain. We had to explain that that's not what we were going to literally do. But perhaps there are moments when you're on that journey where somebody might have even said that or even done it. But yeah, sorry. What's your experience been of journeying and perhaps never arriving? Or
Me.
yeah. You don't have to answer.
No. Okay.
I think this whole process has been a journey, actually, and for me what's been very rich is to see the relationships develop between all of us who didn't know each other a few months ago and get to know each other, and also just the profound empathy that people have had for people in difficult situations, in the sense that, like you say, it could happen to any of us, and it makes us really
Remember when
think.
Janet first came to us?
Yeah.
And after first performance, she was not even first performance, it was just a warm-up session.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about, it wasn't even started at that time. And Janet said to us, I don't really know about immigration. And do you want to say something? Just reflect that now, how you feel and what was...
Yeah, it's been a real eye-opener for me, a really, journey. And each performance I cry because I don't know that I'm born, I've had a good life and I don't know what it's like to be disrupted from my country and my home and family. And I just, I can empathise with people now. And whereas before I just used to think nothing, they're immigrants, they shouldn't be in our country kind of thing. But now it's totally different, and it's really has changed the way that I think and feel.
Does anybody in the audience have any particular reflection to share with us, or sorry for hogging the questions, it was more to just open up certain people behind it. Anybody else?
I think it'd be interesting, it's quite a controversial subject, immigrants, isn't it, especially with the Brexit and things like that. And what interests me is the stories behind it all interest me on a personal level. Would they be able to leak out in a way where people are exposed, but maybe in a little booklet? So, like Janet said, it really opens your eyes, and the British society, the culture and everything, it's so diverse that it would be interesting that we all learnt about each other and what happens behind the scenes, because there's quite a lot of things like, the immigrants get this and they get that, and and it's ignorance really. So yeah, I'm just wondering if there could be something extending from this.
Well, one of the things that the History Troupe are doing now is we're working in 40 plus high schools, and we're doing a lot of different things, and we're talking with Martha and with Saida and others to do something like this, where in effect what Martha has already outlined is the exercise of getting people to explore each character is, in some cases, it's quite a well-known approach in drama, but not for everybody across the city. And so we're working in schools where the experience of beyond their estate is not strong. So how can we expect them to empathise and understand? So in a way, I think what you're saying is the task for all of us here to try and take not just this but other ideas that hopefully come from this, because by the way, the lovely thing about it, in all honesty, this is really just a platform script. The hope is that some people will actually have the courage to come forward with what they've got to share. And that's not always easy to do. It's easy for a white-haired guy from Hull to do something, but I think it's very, very difficult for others to come forward, and hopefully your idea and Martha and Saida's idea will build momentum.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest there, and as we can see today, it's a full house, so keep it up and keep it going, as there.
Because Platform One, by the way, is your initiative to build on that, isn't it, and do other things. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about Platform One, your ideas for that.
Well, I guess the idea is to do exactly that, to go out into the community and find more stories and write them. I'd really like to write, or pulled together as a
It's 'cause I'm
Baton
nosy, you
piece.
say.
Yeah, exactly.
These
These stories are fascinating.
What
Yeah,
you
yeah,
when
we're
you ask
in-
questions,
yeah.
but you feel like you're intrusion. It's quite
Yeah.
a personal thing, you know. And
But that's why this is so delicately done, this
Yeah.
piece, because it is so open, but it also just gives a sense of the
Should have
atmosphere
been
and
open
feeling.
doors when they were telling you everything. I would have
Yeah.
loved to have been there.
One
Because it's
idea
just
we were
really
talking about on
interesting.
Saturday was maybe doing a pop-up theatre, say doing it, finding 4 or 5 venues in Hull, and just moving it around, so that you're reaching different people, not necessarily people that are coming to a theatre, but people that are outside in the street, and questioning them, let them question it. And
I
we
just
think
want to mention
that
one.
might work really well.
I think so, yeah.
Just want to mention one thing. This drama originally was been written for only 4 people.
Yeah, yeah.
4
So we were
cats.
very inclusive and everyone who wanted
Four
to participate.
characters. 2 were silent. So altogether 6. So yeah, I think I'm coming back to your question. In the beginning, we had open sessions, like open discussion sessions, reflections, thought-provoking
Research,
journey,
yeah.
research. What do you think about that? So we were not working on play from the beginning. They were every week there was a session, and we always posted that on Facebook and other places. Like, everyone welcome. So these are the people who are like everyone welcome, and they have decided to stay. So we had to split our roles from 4 to now you can count all of us. So
They were overly polite. They kept contacting me, and in the end, I just said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Do it what you like.
yeah, so I asked Rob.
But hang on, one of the things that I think is very important to mention, Saida, is this, that we also tried to put some music in.
Oh yes.
And I think it's very important to thank you a lot for your... Just simply to, one of the things that we were trying to do originally was that there would be even more music, because that was the language that perhaps everybody can understand.
आपको
What
कैसा
do you
लगा
think?
इसमें काम करके अपनी थोड़ी सी बताएं कि एज अ म्यूजिशियन आप और आपकी जर्नी जो है अब तक ड्रामा भी ऐसा है
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छा लगे वेरी वेरी नाइस आई हैप्पी आई एंजॉय यस बट आपको कैसे लग रहा है म्यूजिक के आई डोंट स्पीक सॉरी
he is asking what you think of me
I think your music spoke louder than anything you need to say.
Yeah, I think that was the point of the music, was that he couldn't communicate with words. He didn't know our language, so we all had language, and the only way he could communicate was through his music. So that was him communicating with us. That's the only way he could do it.
क्या कह रहे हैं
and he also वो आपका बस शुक्रिया अदा कर रहे हैं और मैं बता दूं आपकी पोइट्री के बारे
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
में and he also the song in the beginning I just translated that not fully but it was like illustrated by me. I just tried to illustrate that, but that was all about love and without any borders. That's what he believes, actually, Mr. Singh.
Yes.
And he is actually trying, because whatever he has got now skills wise, and he want to contribute in the society, so he thinks I cannot speak English, but he is learning English, so yeah, so we can even see that. So he said, if I am in England, so why not now I have
I
to
think we'll
learn the
break a leg out of
language.
this.
It's very positive, and yeah, throughout. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank
Well
you
done.
thank you
A couple more questions and then, yeah, go ahead. I can't see, but there you go. Hi, how are you?
I'm from Open Door, and I'd just like to share something. The credit of the whole this script and drama credit goes to Saida and Martha, but all of you, all the people who played character. But when you asked him what was the concept of behind this when they decided to set up, so I just wanted to add something, because initially it was an Open Door who thought that we can use this powerful media to tell the story of our client to people. Then I asked Martha, is it correct? Yes, Saida, would you like to come? I'd like to see you. Then I said, this is something we want you to do. Would you like to get involved? And she said, that's fine, yeah. So this is how we are going to tell our story. We are going to use this media to tell the story of our people. We got our friends who are photographers. They are using that photography to tell the story. We go to school as well. We have a group of volunteers. They go to school, and we are trying to bring people together. And there are so many myths. These are all myths we are trying to address here.
I think, by the way, Open Doors, I was never more welcome than I was when I went down to Open Doors, if you remember, several times. Really made welcome. And the work you do in particular and the work of your team is quite remarkable, I think. And it's due to that a lot of people are able, if you like, to sustain themselves in these endless waits for asylum seeker status or whatever it might be. So I think the work of Open Doors is, you say it in the title of your group, Open Doors, and it is excellent. And I think if there's anything I could say, it would only be in a round of applause for you and your efforts. I think frankly, I say that with a lot of humility, there's more to do with the work you guys do than anything I could contribute. There's one other question, I think, over there somewhere, I think.
There's a gentleman on the side.
Yeah. Question?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just appreciating what Mr. Singh had done and what Saida has done. And because we speak both languages, we've been appreciating
So she understands
the language as well.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, look, we said this evening was going to be the performance and then a Q&A and then a few readings. So perhaps I'll get on with that so that everybody can, if that's all right.
Somebody else got a question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, question over here. Go ahead.
Rob, you tell in return of refugees, have you thought about exploring the changing attitudes that we've got as a country? I'm old enough to remember just after the war. By the way, we went to war because Poland was invaded on the 3rd of September 1939.
Yeah.
People seem to forget that.
Yeah.
I grew up with Polish people, went to school with them, and now all of a sudden there's this, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, I don't mean to, Eastern European thing. It's the culture, the mindset, we just for some reason changed. We welcomed people in the war, we got people out of Germany, and we had the Kosovans in here in the 90s, and then all of a sudden it's changed, and I just wondered if you had any thoughts on trying to bring that out.
Well, moving away from this particular piece, yes is the answer. And what we've done is, a couple of years ago I wrote a piece called Reaching for the Land of Green Ginger, and the reason for that was because I was trying to raise the idea that it's not new, this idea of migrants. If you take that 1880 to 1914 period, millions came through Hull, 3 million, 3.2 million actually. So let's reflect on that. Let's reflect on the First World War when 200,000 Belgians had to leave Belgium from August to December of 1914. Let's move on a bit further. The vaunted Battle of Britain, when all those Spitfires went off and defeated the Germans. By the way, 27% of those Spitfire pilots were Polish.
Yeah.
I went to a school, the Marist, which is now St Mary's, and I always remember playing in the first 15. And aside of a guy called Steve Hubbard who went on to play for Hull Kingston Rovers, and me with a name like Bell, there was Kravchuk, there was Kuch from the Ukraine, there was Robakowski, and so on and so on and so on. Great sadness, by the way, was none of them could speak any more Polish than I can. Because the message of assimilation in those days was, don't speak the language where you come from, just get on with assimilation. And in many ways, if you look down Newland Avenue, where the first thing I wrote was Sharp Street about the First World War, it's about more than that. But I remember delivering papers down Newland Avenue when it was essentially nobody other than people from Hull lived and worked down Newland Avenue. To walk down Newland Avenue now is a message perhaps of success. But I take your point completely as one who did not vote for Brexit. Going into schools now, as we do, all too often we are hearing a coarsening of behaviour around anybody who is different. That's, by the way, not just about the place you come from. It might be your sexuality. It might be a lot of things. So, God, when you're young, surely we should encourage our children to open their minds. And so to open your mind is, I always remember that phrase about learning another language from Goethe, when Goethe said to speak one language is to see with one eye. To speak more than one language actually opens you up to many more things. I think that's absolutely what we're trying to achieve. So Platform One just adds to the people who are trying to give that whole sentiment that I think you accurately portray, give it voice. I'll tell you what.
Given what we did to India in 1947, you go on holiday there and you're welcome with open arms.
Yes. I've made many journeys to India. I think Mr. Singh is well aware of how much we feel about what he's done. I think let's move forward in the evening, if we may, and ask people to reflect. This is National Refugee Week, and all we're trying to do is make sure that more people reflect upon that. So I definitely think we'll have more than a dialogue. This is a play, this is a piece that has been doing more in the rehearsals than even on stage. And I think what we've got to reflect on is that when we've got evenings like this, it's coming together. But I think you've opened up a really good line of inquiry. But let's move on with the rest of the evening if we can. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.